I am starting the stream now. Hello everyone, welcome. If you're watching this in post when it's not live, right now I'm figuring out how to get the chat on the screen so I can do a little split screen thing. Thank you for tuning in. This is Form Check Friday. This is where I will be, there it is, found it. Make sure that's muted. This is where I will be taking videos from the viewers. I already have, I think, enough for this time, and I'm going to be critiquing their form and telling them what they can do to improve. I'm going to do it live one-on-one. What's up, Scobbings and Eric? I like the Scobbings name. Scoobings? Is that like Scoobies, like the shot? All right, now I have the chat pulled up here. Where do I want to put this? I want to put this one right here. Sorry, I'm having to use Edge over Chrome, and it's just a completely different experience. I'm not going to lie. What's up, Jonathan, Ken, and Tyler? I'm apparently too lazy to actually make a YouTube video, so I'm just going to stream it all at once. Can you hear me okay? Is everything sounding good? This, I don't need to be playing and sucking up bandwidth. Okay. All right. I was going to have this playing in the background. This is footage from the dynamic discs at the Worlds. This was just a bunch of beauty shots, but the reason I'm here is because if we go over here at 219, we've got a fantastic slow motion shot of Paige Pierce right there. So that is what I'm going to be using as a reference while I'm critiquing all of these forms. Sounds good, looks good. Thank you. Thank you, Derek. Oh, I jumped back way too much. What am I doing with my life? I don't understand. There we go. All right, it should play at 25% speed now. And, oh, it's so beautiful. It's perfect. She makes it look easy. But, hey, watch this. Oh, there's Henry. Henry, I'd message you in Discord. Send me your YouTube link and I'll make you a mod. I have this. I'm learning how to use OBS. So I have this scene here, which is like me in the corner, and then like the video there. And if I'm ever teaching something specifically, I can switch to this camera. Oh, rolling over a piece of paper. I can be like, hey, so you want to do the form thing, and that'll be the whole video. I guess I don't need headphones on. Just thinking about it. Just yeah, let me know if you can't hear anything. Hang on a sec. I gotta make Henry a moderator real quick. No, that's not what I did. Copy. And paste. No, that's still the Form Check one. If you would want to submit your form to the Form Check Friday form, it's a mouthful there, that's going to be the link that's in the description. Is it going to take me to Henry's page here? No, it's not. Okay. Cool. All right. I think I found Henry's channel here. Got to have a moderator here. For some reason, I couldn't get this going beforehand. Henry didn't message me back. But whatever. I hope you feel bad, Henry. I don't hope you feel bad. Let me get everything pulled up here again. It's complicated. I need more monitors. I have 2 and it's not enough. Haley King, I'm not making you a mod. So my first person here for the Form Check Friday. This is the Google form over here. This is Justin Larson. He has been playing for 3 years. His farthest throw is a, I should probably switch back to this other thing, is 425 with a Fusion Sheriff. Okay, let's see what Justin has for us here. So I've been playing for 3 years. That's not as long as you'd think. It looks like it's fairly cold there. Oh, let's watch it. Let's watch it. Here we go. I got to come up with some sort of format for this. I'm learning. I'm gonna start with just a full speed playthrough, and we'll see if you notice anything. Let's give it one more and see what you notice. Let me know in the chat if you see anything. All right, now we're going to slow it down. We're going to go to 25%. This is, lots of people don't know you can just slow down the YouTube right there in the player. The YouTube, I sound like an old man. So the first thing that I notice here, I'm going to play it through one more time. Very skippy. It's all right. Wow, that's super skippy. Come on. Load the video. Okay, we're just going to go frame by frame. All right. So the first thing that I notice is right here, he's turning all the way backwards. This is usually caused because of too big of an X step, and that is causing him to rotate all the way around, and it ends up with an open stance. See, his left foot is backwards, and then his right foot is forwards. See how his toes are farther apart than his heels? That means that he's not getting an efficient weight transfer. His front foot is probably too far to the right, and he's not rotating efficiently because his stance is open. If you stand right now and you have your toes farther apart than your heels, you're not very flexible. You can't twist your hips very well. So the first thing that I always watch for in footwork is to try and keep the hips from turning backwards. The foot can turn backwards a little bit because you're not technically moving straight sideways. You're also moving off to the left. So I've said several times that you want to keep your disc sideways, which is mostly correct. But the main thing is you don't want to turn around and have this open stance. So my tip is always to have your weight over your toes while you're doing this X step, and then have your front foot set down so the toe touches first, and then your weight rotates onto your heel. I don't know if you saw, I had a pretty epic spit there, but I was just going to ignore it. So that's for footwork, and his front foot is in line with his back foot here. If you see down at the bottom, you can see there's not a whole lot of deviance here. His feet are in line with his throw, and you want this front foot to be offset probably over around here. Simon Lizotte just made a great video about this, and that helps to shift your weight into the throw rather than just rotating. Now, flat-footed, no weight over the front foot from his feet, and not putting weight on his feet on the follow-through. It appears to run through brace. Let's see these next few frames. He takes an extra step, yes. Some people do that when they throw maximum power and they have clean form, but in general, you should be able to at least throw without doing that. All right, so let's go move on from footwork to reach back. And this screenshot right here is where I see a lot of issues with his reach back. I'm going to see if I can do this number. Boom, look at that. Fancy. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Still fancy. I got tricks. Okay, so the biggest issue that I'm seeing here is that he's looking at the target. If your eyes are pointed forward, you're not going to be able to reach all the way back. And his shoulders are turned all the way back, but because he's trying to look at the target, his arm is rounded. So his arm should be out here, but his arm is going that way. Boy, that looks terrible. I'm gonna roll with it. If his hand was out here and like this was the disc, then the disc could go straight forward. But from where the disc is right now, see if I can do this number, look at that. Fancy. From where the disc is right now, it has to go through his chest to get to the target. And it's not going to go through his chest, it's going to go around his chest, and he's going to be rounding. That's that curved area, the curved path of the disc. So he's starting off with that reach back rounded because he's looking at the target. So from there, because his reach back is across his body, as he starts to throw, the disc stays behind his body. I'm pointing at the screen again. You can't point at the screen, it doesn't work. I guess it kind of works, because from the little video, it looks like I'm pointing at him. Anyway, the disc stays kind of behind. This angle of his shoulders here, I'm going to snip this again. The angle of his shoulders here is, his shoulders are coming in here, and then his arm is coming there. And that's less than 90 degrees. Let's compare that to Paige Pierce here. Best form on tour. Frame by frame. Right here in the same spot. The suspense has got to be just crazy with me taking my time doing all this. Her shoulders go like this, and then her arms come down. That's a 90-degree angle. And that's what you're always looking for in the backhand form. You want to make that 90-degree angle. I can go freeze Peter McBride here at the same spot. Whoops. Come on. YouTube. I've never pressed the space bar to go page down on a web page. Ever. I don't know why it's a thing. Right here. I would love to use Chrome if Chrome was working on my computer right now, YouTube. Fix it. Okay. Peter's got his shoulders going up here, and then the 90-degree coming down there. 90 degrees. That is the biggest thing that's sacrificing his power right now, is that he's not leveraging his arm correctly. If your arm is dragging behind your shoulders, it's just sort of dragging there. But if you can pull the disc in tight, then your arm is in front of your shoulders and your arm is sort of launching off of your shoulders rather than getting dragged behind it. Also, he was talking about follow through and weight shift. He's leaning forward over his front foot. Ideally, you'd stay a little bit more upright and you'd pop up as you throw. Kind of, not really. You want to be pushing sort of back off of your front foot rather than just walking through it onto your other one. You want to try and brace against your forward momentum, and that will help with power. So what do I recommend Justin here do? I would say start with a footwork drill. Just practice your footwork whenever you can and make sure to keep your left heel off the ground. So when your left heel is off the ground, your muscles in your leg are going to be engaged and you're going to have your weight over your toes because there's nowhere else for your weight to be. Also work on offsetting that plant foot off to the left and taking your eyes off the target and reaching the disc straight back. My favorite thing to do is to just, as I'm practicing, just practicing in my apartment like I do, freeze in my reach back, and that will, and I will be able to see where I'm doing it wrong. I can't tell you how many times I've done that and then just laughed because I've been doing it wrong. Freeze where your reach back is and see whether the whole disc can see the target from that point. So moving on from Justin, let's go see what my next response is. This is from Trond Mjøs. I think that's how you say that. And he actually sent it in twice. So we're going to go to the second one here. All right, and I'm actually going to paste it off of screen first to make sure it's a form video. There we go. Because if it's not, I would hate to like rickroll everybody at once. Although that would be kind of cool. Actually, I would love to rickroll everybody at once. Okay, let's go. Oh, let's answer some questions from the chat real quick. Ty says rounding. Kyle says, where should the weight be in the feet? Ball and / heel through the X step. You generally want your weight over your toes in the X step. If we go to Peter McBride here, really hope he's actually doing it now. Yeah. Okay. You can see he's leaned forward. From this perspective, his weight is this way over his heels, and as he follows through, you can see his heel lifts first down in the corner. That's the big toe. You want to make sure that if your toe lifts first, that means you're falling backwards off of your foot. But if your heel lifts first, that means you're pushing forwards. That's definitely a big thing to look for. So let's look at Trond Mjøs. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's TRONDMJ and then the O with the slash through it and S. So I'm not going to claim to know how to speak whatever language that is. Okay, he's been playing for 3 years, and this was a dynamic disc escape that went 290 feet. Is it already in slow motion? If I would click on the right thing, it might be. Oh, I have it playing at 25%. My first time live streaming, everyone. Oh man, first off, look at this T-pad. What is this? This is like a 2-foot square. I feel you, my man. I mean, I'm happy to have T-pads over. It looks like really muddy there, but wow. All right, Ty DeLorean says it's nice. It's right. Okay. All right. Looped Mess says follow through with weight on ball of foot instead of heel. You say heel, but ball more fluid, comfortable. Problem or no? So following through with your weight over your toe is a bit of an issue. It generally means your foot is planting too far to the right. Here we go back to Peter's in the bag. You can see his front foot is way over here. There's no way for him to follow through over his toes here. Even people like Eric McCabe says he's a toe spinner. He rotates on his heel first, and then he rotates on his toe. So if your weight is shifting into your front leg correctly, see, I can't imagine any way that Peter's going to be rotating on his toe through these few frames here. So work on getting that front foot offset way to the left and set your foot down on the ball of your foot. See how his toe touches down first here? That's the key, because that sets up, that's what turns his hips back. His hips are turned back now, And then as he throws, he has that range of motion to rotate them forward. Okay, back to Trond. Trond here, he's got a good start with that X step. See, he's got his weight over his toes. See, his front foot is also a little bit too far to the right. I would like to see that kind of over in this territory. But also, it's a small T-pad, and he might be throwing like more of a hyzer type shot. All right, that's not bad at all. I would have expected that to go farther than 290 with an escape. Let's watch it a couple more times. Let's see if we can watch it full speed if I speed it up in the video here. Let's go 2 times. No, it's not quite full speed there. That's not a bad throw at all. That's really, really slow and smooth. That's why I would have expected it to go a lot farther. So his X step here, you see he's got his foot sideways. He's got his weight over his toes. His hips aren't rotated too far back. He sets his front down on the ball of his foot, and then he shifts his weight into his heel as he rotates. That's looking, what on earth? That's looking really nice. Well, he rotates over his toe. That's because his foot is too far to the right. If he had that offset to the left, he would get a little bit more power out of his hips there. So let's work on, let's look at upper body here. Reach back timing. That's a big thing that I always harp on. No, don't play it. Let's look here. His reach back peaks. The ideal reach back timing is for the reach back to peak when your front foot touches the ground. Mine is a little bit early. I'm working on that. But let's watch Paige here demonstrate proper reach back timing. Oh, I went too fast. Oh, what's up, Ty? What's up, Trond? Trond Mjøs. Is it a rolled R or is it just Trond? I'm not sure. Anyway, you see reach backs. Sorry. Paige's elbow is bent here, and as her reach back peaks, her front foot touches the ground. That's sort of like stretching the body out like a rubber band, and then it snaps together and throws the disc. And here, Trond's got it right. Or Ty. The reach back peaks right as his front foot touches the ground. If that front foot would offset a little bit more to the left, the rotation would be a lot cleaner and a lot more powerful. What I'm noticing here, though, is he starts his throw by rotating his shoulders. See how here, from the peak of the reach back, the first thing he does is turn his shoulders, and that sets up this angle here a little bit tighter than 90 degrees. I'm gonna here. Shoulders go this way. Arm comes down here. It's not a lot tighter, but it is a little bit tighter than 90 degrees. So rather than starting the throw by rotating your shoulders, start the throw by pulling the disc in. Still not in the right window. All right, this is complicated. But right here, this power pocket is really good. It's just late. If you can get to this position back here, that disc is going to go a lot farther, like as far as shoulder rotation. If your shoulders had only rotated this much when the disc was here, you would be set. That would absolutely launch the disc. Because look at your elbow. Your elbow is not quite at 90 degrees, and that's what you're looking for, is for the shoulder and the elbow to be at 90 degrees. So that's 180. Your hand's perfectly on the outside of the disc. And it's just your elbow is just a little bit too straight. But that is really, really close. It's a very small adjustment to start the throw by pulling the disc in rather than rotating your shoulders. That's going to get a lot more power very quickly. So, advice for Trond or Ty, I'm confused now, is there we go. To focus on getting that front foot off to the left. Your footwork looks great besides that placement of the front foot. And then work on starting with your elbow, starting by bending your arm to get into that power pocket. All right? I don't know of any drills. Let me think of drills. Probably a wall drill, because as your shoulders rotate early, your hand is going to be pushed out. So if you stay there and work on the wall drill, that'll help pull it in. And for the front foot off to the left thing, I'm not really sure. I wish I had a drill for that, but I don't right now. All right, so let's jump on from Trond. Thank you for sending in your form. We have Josh Heindel. I'm double checking we're not getting rickrolled again. Yes, we're not. Okay. There we go. Shout out to everyone who sent in their form too. That's awesome. That's so good to see. Good to see people who want to improve. This is Josh. He throws a defender, 350 to 400. A defender guy. I like that. Defenders are good. What's he throwing here? Oh, I can't tell. All right. Is it in slow motion or am I playing it in slow motion? That's regular. Okay. Henry says, is the tee-pad possibly downhill some? He seems to fall forward as he throws, maybe from the brace. I kind of moved on, but it doesn't look like it. Probably the falling forward is from having his front foot too far to the right. He's not able to stop that forward momentum. So that's probably just preventing him from bracing correctly. So getting that front foot offset to the left is going to help stop that. So let's look at Josh here. This looks like the English countryside to me. I like it. All right. X step here. It looks like his foot's a little bit too far backwards because his hips are turned back too soon. I'll just let it play the first time. Oh, that's so close. That's so close. Oh my gosh. So many angles are like 10 degrees off from what they need to be. And the timing is just barely off. That's so close to doing really well. Okay, so the first thing I notice is the X step here. He's turning around backwards a little bit too early. The idea is to walk sideways at the target rather than turning around and then turning around forward to throw the disc. You want to think of riding a skateboard goofy foot at the target. You want to be moving sideways for the most part, and actually you only turn back a little bit at the end when you plant that front foot off to the left. So what's up, King? For Henry, you should be a moderator now. I clicked on the little button. So for footwork, he's got his hips turned back a little bit too far, and then as he throws, his front foot is pointed towards the target, and so his hips don't have as much range of motion as they would have had otherwise. For the reach back here, let's check the timing. There's the reach back peaking, but the front foot's not quite on the ground yet. Here's a good drill. I'm going to use taking advantage of the other camera angle that I have. Whoa, some of you people who came here late did not have this. This is fancy. It's perfect because it just cuts off my mustache so you can't see it. As you're reaching back, the disc should stay in the same spot. Kind of what it does before you start your reach back is personal preference, but from right here in the middle of your X step, as you reach back, the disc should remain stationary. I hope you can see this as I'm doing it. Looks like it. Yeah, the disc shouldn't be moving backwards, or lots of times if you're reaching back early, it will be moving back and then forward as you're doing that reach back. A good drill is to think of walking around the disc. Now I caution you if you're trying this, because lots of times if people try and walk around the disc, they'll have the disc here and they'll walk around it and do this number, which is rounding, which puts the disc behind them. So keep the disc wide, but you want to keep the disc in the same spot as you reach back. This door doesn't latch. I one time tried to do handstands up against it and I fell like 3 times straight. It hurt really, really bad. Okay, back to Josh here. Look at that fancy transition. A little crossfade. Tee-pad is 3 foot long. That's not a great tee-pad. It's better than dirt. I will 100% kudos to the person who put that tee-pad in, and kudos to course maintenance, but 3 foot is not an ideal size for a tee-pad for sure. Okay, so the reach back is early, and generally with an early reach back, that means the shoulders start turning early too. Let's watch here. See the angle here of his shoulder that's rounding there? He's got that rotation just a little bit too far. Should I draw the lines again? I'll just kind of demonstrate here. The shoulders are angled here and the arm is back here. His elbow is also pinned tight to his side. But his front foot is offset to the left. You see how it's offset over here? He's throwing this way, but his front foot's over here. That's good. And see how as he throws, his toe pops up then. There, it tried to. If he'd have been able to have that, set it down on his toe, he would get a lot cleaner rotation. But see his toe right there? You can't really see because the YouTube player's in the way. What if I do this? Oh, then it's down low, out of frame. Okay. It tries to pop the toe up. Okay, so advice for Josh here. Number one, 6 stash, dude. I'm working on it. I'm going to join you one day. The biggest issue, besides the reach back timing and footwork, so just like the other people that I've talked to, well, the first one, reach back timing and footwork, work on that drill where you walk around the disc and work on keeping your weight over your toes, keep your left heel off the ground as you throw. What I want Josh here to focus on is getting his elbow up. You want to have your elbow up and far out in front of you. The elbow is the biggest joint that throws the disc. If you couldn't see my lower body right now, just like you can't, see, I planned this, and the camera was locked into my shoulders. This is what a throw would be like, okay? I'm approaching the T-pad, this is my reach back, then I pull and I release. These joints shouldn't change at all. The only joint that's powering the disc is this elbow. That's why it's so important to get into this power pocket and get your elbow out front. Because just like choking up on a baseball bat reduces power, if you have that lever, that fulcrum closer to your body, that's not going to be as powerful. So you want to get that elbow far out so that you can leverage that elbow correctly and power the disc. So that's the biggest thing I would focus on. I would focus on, from your reach back, leading with your elbow, almost like I do right now, like I'm working on fixing, because I go too far in the other direction. But lead with your elbow, get that elbow out front, and you're going to see a lot more distance and a lot more power. Okay, I've got time for let's say 2 more, maybe 3 if they're quick. Sorry, let's go through some chat here. How does that translate to one-step drive? I got a bad knee and don't do an X step. Let's let me see. All right, I can't follow through if I throw this way, so I'm gonna throw this way. One-step drive. For me, that's where you start with your feet together. Is that what you're doing there? Who am I talking to? Greldek. I thought it was Gredlek, and then I thought it was Greg, and now it's Greldek. Okay. Greldek for a one-step drive, start like this, and then disc stays in the same spot. I'll demonstrate it. Can you see that from there? I need to... Whoa. Wait a minute. I can just turn the camera. All right. From here, one step. One step, throw. I'm not doing it perfectly there, but you get the idea. One step, throw. Does that make sense? Reach back peaks when the front foot hits the ground. I also need to rotate the camera back. I'm working on getting a better camera, probably after Christmas. Okay, yes, start with feet together. That's how I like to do a one-step too. Andrew says, the example video you have of Paige Pierce has a really good example of the disc staying still. I don't think it moves more than 3 inches from the points where she starts her reach back to the point where she finishes. Let's find out. Wow, I forgot this was longer than one throw. Okay. Yeah, there it is. She's got a little bit of okay, yeah, just playing it 2-5. Fast forward here. Okay. There's the disc right in front. I'm going to put my mouse on it. Look at that. From right there till the peak of her reach back. I guess it moves back a little bit. That's part of her throw. That's so cool. That's a great idea. Thank you. Mackie D. Loop Ghost had this last video about a one-step drive. Yes, Loop Ghost makes some great content. Highly recommend checking out his videos if you haven't already. Elbow up equals elbow out as well. Yes, you want to get that elbow as far away from your body as you can, because that's how the lever powers the shot. Okay. Next response is Josh Amer. Amer? I think it's Amer, because I remember calling him Amer in a different video, and he was like, I know it looks like Amer, but it's actually Amer. Making sure we're not getting rickrolled. I want a rickroll answer, man. I can just see that being fantastic. It would be twofold too. It would copy strike, or not copy strike, but it would get the video demonetized because of the copyrighted material, and it would rickroll Bobby, Eric, and Robert. So I didn't tell you to do that. But definitely don't. Definitely, it might be interesting if somebody were to happen to do that. Joseph, hi Danny, I like this live thing. Paul G, thank you, Joseph. I like live thing as well. I think I've been doing the opposite. That's something to improve on then. Let's watch Josh Amer here. Amer. I'm going to call him Amer like 12 more times, I bet. All right. So his video is playing in slow motion already. So let's just watch it through a couple times. Let me see what you notice. Actually, that's really solid. Right there, that looked like a pretty good power pocket. Look at that. Yeah, see how far out in front of him his elbow is? And his shoulder angle here is right at 90 degrees. That looks really good. Good job, Josh. For distance, this was about 320 feet with an Explorer. Okay, Josh, if you're in the chat, do you throw distance drivers, or is like an Explorer your max distance disc? I'm wondering if you disc up at all, is 320 your max, or is that just this shot here? I should probably add some stuff to the forum. If you want to submit your form, the Google form is in the description if you want to check that out. So let's start with footwork. So the first thing I notice here, he does the same thing I do. Jump in the X step. I do more of like an X hop, and I don't think that's ideal. I wish I could stay balanced and keep one foot on the ground. That's something that I'm going to be working on in the off season, is not having this little skippy do there. Right there. Yep. And also you can see his hips are turned too far back at this point. They're already pointed this direction away from the target. And that means, I haven't seen yet, but I bet you his front foot is going to be placed down, angled towards the target. Oh, it's 90 degrees. That's really solid. That's really good. Interesting, he rotates over the middle of his foot. So that's the other thing I look for in footwork, is a good rotation over the heel. And he's not really getting that. He's kind of rotating over the middle of his foot. I bet you if he kept his back foot a little bit more sideways, if he stayed a little bit more over his toes through that X step, he'd be able to get that heel rotation. Because when you think about it, if your weight is over your heel, right, that's going straight up your arm. That's not putting as much torque on your joints as it is if it's going over your toes. Because if it's over your toes, it's got to sort of zigzag back and forth, and that rotation isn't going to be as cleanly transferred through your joints. I talked to Seth Muncie about this. I would definitely recommend him for more medical things. I'm definitely not a doctor. I feel like I need to say that for like legal reasons or something, but y'all are cool. Nobody's going to sue me, right? Regardless, I'm not a doctor. That doesn't make me a doctor. All right, so first thing for upper body is reach back timing here. He's got his reach back a little bit early. You see the disc stays mostly still there. It doesn't move too much. But then before he actually starts his throw, it dips over here. So if he can get that reach back to peak when his front foot hits the ground, it's going to be a lot better. See, his reach back peaks then, and his front foot's still a few inches away, and then it hits the ground. But from this point forward, it looks really clean. He's coming into the power pocket well, and then he's extending and launching that disc. One thing I haven't talked about yet is follow through. Something I just noticed as well. I'm also going to talk about off arm. Don't let me forget about off arm. Eric has mentioned Paige's off arm, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. So he's throwing a hyzer. So the disc is on this angle. I'm gonna screenshot this. All right. So the disc right here is on that plane. So his follow through should be up here, right? If you're throwing a hyzer, your follow through should be up and over your right shoulder. Let's watch where his follow through actually goes. See how his follow through is down? That's going to cause the disc to pop out nose up. And it's going to have a little bit of wobble on it. You can see, I can't quite see the wobble. That might just be the video being funky. But because his follow through isn't up, that disc is going to be a little bit nose up. It's going to be harder to get that nose down. So I would recommend focusing on exaggerating following through over your right shoulder to get that nose down. The other thing that I'm going to talk about is off arm. Ideally, you want to have your off arm tight to your side. Usually when I throw, I reach back and my arm sort of pops up here, makes a little chicken wing, and then as I throw, my hand comes down the inside of my left leg. And that compresses my shoulders and keeps everything rotating efficiently, and it's like a figure skater. If your arms are spread out, you're not going to be spinning as fast as when your arms are pulled tight. So Josh here has got his arm like here. That's fine, but I would recommend pulling it in just a little bit tighter, just because that rotation is going to be faster. You can try it just like this. I guess you can, because I just did it. You rotate like this, it feels kind of fast, but if you pull that arm in tight, it's going to be a lot faster. Now let's talk about Paige Pierce, because Eric commented that Paige Pierce's off arm is not tight to her body. And he's right, but she's doing a little bit of a motion that a lot of the top professionals do, the big distance throwers, that compresses their shoulders as they're throwing. This is like, see here she puts her arm in front, and then right as she's throwing, she leverages off of that to rotate forwards. So it's effectively, the shoulder is towards the front of that socket there. I'll switch back to this. It's effectively the same thing, right? If I'm moving my hand tight to my side, my shoulder is towards the front of this socket here. That's going to compress my shoulders and let me throw the disc more efficiently. She's going back, she kind of pulls it back here, and then she jams it forward, and it's not tight to her side, but because she's getting that rotation, she's getting that compression out of her shoulders, it's still powering the shot. What Josh is doing is he's swinging back and then forward. And the shoulder here, the joint here is at the back of the socket, and that's causing a slower rotation. So that's also, somebody mentioned, Greldeck says, someone I played with controlled their arm by putting their thumb in their belt loop for a while until they learned to keep it down. But they had it flying way further out than this guy. Okay, so thumb in the belt loop is a common thing that I've seen to help teach keeping that off arm tight to your side. But what's the issue with this right here? It's the shoulder joint. My arm is back in my shoulder. So while I am compact, it's not as powerful as if my shoulder was on the front of its joint. See, my hand's here. So maybe the other belt loop could be a good way to learn it, but my favorite way to teach it is to bring your left hand down the inside of your left leg as you throw. You can get that compression and get that power. It's the best of both worlds. Dixon Jowers does the same thing because he's waving his little towel. He waves his arm up front and gets that little compression and that power. It's all about the efficient rotation. You don't want your arm dragging behind. You want it powering the shot. All right. I hope you're satisfied, Josh. I don't see you in the chat, but I hope you're satisfied here. Cool One says, Danny, please be sure to post the video of this livecast. I'd like to share it with my league here in New Hampshire. Thanks. That is the plan. I think I have the settings set up to where it'll do that, but I hope so. Eric says, it's definitely working for her. She throws with way more power than us average amps. She throws with way more power than a lot of people. Definitely keeping those shoulders compressed is working well, but she has her arm in front of her shoulders, and that works, but I would definitely recommend keeping it tight to your side. She's definitely not doing it wrong. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I would not recommend setting out to learn it like that, because it's going to be harder to develop that way. If you start with keeping your arm to the side, and then as you throw more, it develops into swinging that arm in front, that's fantastic. I wouldn't stop. But for learning how to do it, I would keep your arm down and tight to your side. All right. That's it for Josh. Any questions? Right on. I'm going to work on that. All right. Thank you, Eric. Sean asks, am I planning on doing more of the live form critiques going forward? I'm planning on it. I'm kind of getting used to it. I'll see how this goes, and we'll move forward from there. All right. Next one is Derek. Let me make sure we're not getting rickrolled. It's Friday night. Is anybody playing tournaments tomorrow? We're not getting rickrolled. If you are, let me know what the temperature is going to be. There's a doubles league here that I'm considering going to, but it's going to be cold, so I'm probably not. It's not that cold, I guess. That's a good rip. Yeah, iPhone slow motion. This is Derek Jeffress. He's been playing for 6 years. And this is 290 feet with a fusion suspect. Suspects don't have a ton of glide. That's a smash out of a suspect. I've been throwing the fusion burst, and they have a little bit of dome on them, makes them nice and stable. And I don't usually reach for it if I'm going 290. That's an impressive throw for sure. Permaculture Homestead says, where can we send form checks at the moment? Facebook is where I will for sure get back to you. I will eventually always reply to somebody on Facebook. If you want your form checked live here, I have a Google form in the description, and I also posted it on my Facebook page. Upload your video to YouTube and then send me the link there, and I will, if I can, I will include it on the next Form Check Friday. And I'm going to try and view them ahead of time next time so I can plan ahead what I'm going to teach. Like I can have one person on rounding and one person on running too fast and then another person, but I didn't quite get a chance here because Chrome decided to fart on me. Okay. This is Derek. We'll let it play through a little bit. Year-end club party in upstate South Carolina. 50-degree weather with some possible liquid sunshine. That's awesome. It's going to be fun. That's about what it is going to be tomorrow, 50. And it's nice enough to go play, but I just don't know if I feel like it. Yeah, I'm apparently not as diehard as everyone else. Robert's going to be playing Barsby's 2-disc challenge in Shelton, Washington. That's awesome. Tridoc, is there any typical form? Is there any form generally smaller people use? Generally, everyone can throw with a straight pull. That's what I teach. That's generally what most people will throw with. And then as you throw more, you could develop into a wide rail. That's what Paul Macbeth throws with, but I wouldn't recommend starting out trying to use a wide rail. I would just keep throwing and learn how to straighten out your pull. And then as you throw more, let the wide rail or a deep reach back or whatever you're going to do, or the Swedish style for that matter, develop. All right, Derek. Finally going to talk about Derek. All right, this is super slow motion. I like that. It's that silky smooth. Look at that elbow, that power pocket. Back here. Look at that, 90 degrees and then 90 degrees. Hands perfectly on the outside. Wrist is neutral. You don't want to be curling your wrist. He's doing that well. And then that extension, that's what causes the power on it. All right, back to footwork. That's what we're starting out with. Okay, so let me double check. Okay, so I always say that you want to keep your foot sideways as you X-step. I've been educated that is not necessarily a tell of a bad X-step, and here's a great example of it. See, he's got his foot a little bit turned backwards while he's X-stepping, but as he throws, he's pushing off of his toe. See how his heel comes up first? And he's in that, his weight is over his toes, he's balanced, he's bracing onto his heel right there. I'm going to double check that. Come on, there it is. See his toe lifts, bracing onto his heel. So I wouldn't tell Derek to work on his X-step at all. I think that weight shift looks fantastic. Look, he's staying vertical. Lots of times as people will reach back, they'll lean backwards over their disc, over their back foot. And he's staying perfectly vertical. Look at that, his center of mass doesn't move forward much at all while he's throwing. That means he's got a great weight shift. This is a fantastic throw. Matthew would love a 50-degree day. He lives in Buffalo. Wow, yeah. That's it's got to be a lot colder up there. But I'm from Arkansas. I'm kind of a wimp. All right, let's look at reach back timing. He's got the slow motion coming in a funky spot there, but we'll see how this works. All right, so that reach back is a little bit early. Derek's been playing for 6 years. This is 290 feet with a fusion suspect. And that's a look at his left arm tight to his side. The thing that I notice here is the reach back. If we go back frame by frame, there, his reach back is peaked well before his front foot touches the ground. And usually that would cause the reach back to leak across his body. He would round like that. But he's not. He's still got it nice and wide, and that's really good. But what that early reach back is doing is causing the disc to lift. See how here it's up high? It's up here. And then as he throws, it dips back down. And then the disc comes out, nose up. That's another thing that having correct reach back timing helps, is the nose up issue from the disc lifting in the reach back. If you can time your reach back so it peaks when your front foot touches the ground, the disc isn't going to have a chance to go anywhere but straight forward right away. That's that rubber band motion. The disc goes back and forward right away. It's not back and then forward. You don't have to worry about timing. If you can get those two things to happen at the same time, generally the rest of your throw is going to fall into place. So the disc lifts here, dips down here, and see how the disc isn't on the same angle? I don't know that Paige Pierce or Peter McBride is a good example of this, but you'd ideally keep the disc on the same plane the entire time. Let's see if Paige Pierce is a good example of this. All right, so she reaches the disc back. I gotta remember this is not just a form video. Reaches the disc back on a pretty severe hyzer, and then it flips to flat a little bit, but it comes back out on that hyzer. Ideally, now a lot of people don't really worry about this that much, and that's fine as long as they're throwing nose down and they're getting consistent angles. But if you need to work on that, I would recommend working on maintaining the angle of the disc. So let's see if Peter. Peter here is reaching back on an anhyzer and then following through on mostly the hyzer angle. All right, so Paige Pierce and Peter are too good to worry about this, but us mere mortals have to worry about it, where you reach back on a hyzer and you maintain that hyzer through the whole throw. So here he's got it reached back. He's got it reached back on the hyzer, but as he's pulling, it's dipping to that flat to anhyzer, and then it comes back to the hyzer right as he releases. So that's going to cause some inconsistencies, and the disc is coming out a little bit nose up. So I would recommend working on that reach back timing and working on maintaining the angle throughout the entire shot, and that's going to get a lot more powerful. If you watch Paul Macbeth throw, he's got fantastic angle integrity where the disc just stays on this exact same angle the whole time it's being thrown. All right, so I think that's all of the form critiques I'm going to do. I'll spend about 5 minutes just doing a Q&A here. Yeah, Derek, this is a fantastic throw. You've got a great shot. Look, that brace is really good, really clean. Follow through, it's higher than it's on plane enough. Not saying like it's not perfect, but I wouldn't worry about it. And then yeah, fantastic throw. Any questions in the chat? Go ahead and drop them, and I will try to answer them to the best of my abilities using examples here from Paige Pierce and Peter McBride. 40 degrees where Kendall Rotten is. It's pretty cold. It's too cold for me to go out and play. Permaculture Homestead says, how do you feel about the Beto drill to help develop power pocket awareness? So when I learned how to throw, I learned how to throw with the Beto drill. And if you don't know, the Beto drill is where you set the disc on your right pec. Whoop. There you go. You set the disc on your right pec here, and then you throw like that. And then eventually you turn back, and then you throw. And then you can reach back and pull into here and throw. Now, this works fine, but my issue with it is it sets up this angle of the shoulders here to be bigger than 90 degrees. And I still struggle with that to this day, where I reach back and then I smash the disc forward and my shoulders haven't rotated yet. So it's a good starter drill. It's your first time out throwing a disc, here's how to do it, but I wouldn't recommend doing it past that. I think there are plenty of other drills that are going to be much more effective at teaching how to time everything correctly and pull everything into the power pocket so you can get that extension in that throw. I think a one-step drill is fantastic. I think the most effective thing, though, is going to be filming yourself and watching it back and being like, oh, I do that? I didn't know that. I'm going to work on that. And then throwing again and being like, oh, I still do that. I thought I fixed it. And then getting frustrated and kicking the camera. Definitely never done that before. Super Jonathan Harris says, Danny, did you see Simon's form check video from the other day? I did. I really liked it. I like how he talked about stepping out to the left. I didn't realize he steps over half the T-pad as he's bracing. If you haven't checked out Simon Lazat's videos on YouTube, they are fantastic. Highly recommended. Look at that. I can just slide it down. 70 degrees in Orlando. Lucky. Sorry, I'm deleting that response so I don't do it again. what program do I use to do this? So this, right here, this is just a web browser. The broadcasting thing is OBS. It's Open Broadcaster software. It's a free downloadable. So yeah, I'm just using the YouTube chat and a web browser and OBS to do the transitions and stuff. Definitely some great weight transition. Yes, Henry. Jack Conville says, what about mine? I don't have time to do all of them. I have 15 responses right now, and I haven't refreshed the page in a minute, so I probably have a couple of more. So I would like to get to them. If you for sure want a response, shoot a message with the video to my Facebook page, and I will type up a response and get back to you there. But this is just a general teaching thing for everybody. So I'm not able to respond to all 18 at this time. Someone says, do you have any advice for delaying arm movement? My best advice for delaying that arm movement is reach back timing. You generally want your arm to be moving from the moment you start your reach back until you're picking up your bag to walk to the next hole. You don't want to reach back and then have to delay your arm before you pull, because that's going to cause it to lift or move across. I would focus on getting that reach back to peak right when your front foot hits the ground, and that's going to be the cleanest way to get that arm timing correctly. Jason says, nice, been playing for 7 months. Hope Danny does mine on YouTube. I will leave them in here in the queue, and next time I do this, I'm going to go through and pick out specific examples of rounding or a bad weight shift or something like that, so I can teach better and cover more different topics rather than the same thing for just about everybody. So if you for sure want a response, shoot a message to my Facebook page, and I will get back to you there. And I hope to come across yours and do it here on YouTube. Henry Hill says, who's your best mate? That's in Fortnite. They sent out an email with who you played the most games with that season, and Henry was my best mate this season in Fortnite. Somebody asked for a recommendation on an understable distance driver. So I generally have a Biofusion Defender that's fairly beat up that I use for those hyzer flip, that turn over and glide and come back shots. If you want something that'll fly like that out of the box, I would recommend a Captain or a Sheriff. My distance driver that I use for rollers is a Renegade. It's a very flippy disc. I can throw it on just a little bit of anhyzer, and it dives into the ground and rolls really, really far because it's that 11 speed is fairly fast. So I would recommend either one of those if you're looking for a big distance driver. And if you don't quite have the arm speed for a distance driver, but you want to get the bonus distance out of having that faster speed, I threw the Westside Destiny for a review, and I really liked how it flew with that. I threw it like a mid-range, and it still went super far because it has a ton of glide. So, if you don't know, I'm doing the disc reviews for Westside Discs on YouTube. So go check those out if you want to see more content from me here. I'm having trouble throwing hyzers as all I've practiced was straight and flat. Can you talk about how to execute one properly? So executing hyzers properly, of course, starts with setting the angle at the reach back and then maintaining that angle as you pull. Generally, you're going to want your weight a little bit more over your toes. You're going to want to be leaned forward just a little bit more, and then you want to make sure and raise your follow through. Make sure you're following through up. If you don't follow through up, you're going to get that kind of floaty hyzer that doesn't really go very far, but if you can get your follow through up, that's going to tilt the disc like this. And hyzers aren't going to go very far because they're not flat. They're not getting that lift and that glide. But if you're talking about executing the hyzer release, I would focus on reaching back on the hyzer, keeping your weight over your toes, and following through up over your shoulder. Like, it's going to feel like you're following through just up here. But that's how you have to do it to get that angle, to train your body to throw that hyzer release. Kavik says, whoa, you're using my video for your thumbnail. That's a auto-generated thumbnail right now, but thank you for sending in your video. And also, hi. How often do I practice approach shots? From 100 to 200 feet. Generally, when I do field work, I will throw every disc in my bag, and then from where my putters are to where my distance drivers landed will be right in that 80 to 150 foot range, and that's when I'll practice them. I'll try and land them on top of whatever disc went the farthest. It's just a part of field work there. Low 40s in Montana. We're usually out as long as it's above 20. You are a lot warmer blooded than me. I have no insulation besides with the clothes that I wear, so it's not... you teach more of a straight line for footwork. Was surprised to see Simon preach stepping over so much. Does it change how you think about it at all? So I teach a straight line through the X step. And the purpose of that is to keep your feet more sideways rather than letting them turn backwards and turn your hips too much. I always say to offset the front foot to the left, and Simon just offsets his front foot more than average to the left, but it's definitely a good point. People do need to get their front foot off to the left so they can efficiently brace and efficiently transfer their weight. Let's see, look at Peter's here. Oh, once again, I forgot it wasn't just the form. Peter McBride here, Team Dynamic Discs, has got his front foot offset almost the half the T-pad as well. I should probably offset my front foot more now that I'm watching this. Paige here, she doesn't have her front foot offset quite as much, but it's still offset, I'd say 18 inches, maybe 24. Danny is sub 900 player's best friend. I hope over 900 too. Everybody can improve. I try to learn from everyone. Sean says, do you try to get the disc in the center of your chest for a power pocket, or do you try to get the disc closer to your right pec? I am for the center, because if it's the right pec, then this joint is too far open. I try to keep that joint at 90 degrees. When your lead leg lands, does it have to land at a 90-degree angle earlier? Did you say it has to land at a 90-degree angle earlier? Thanks in advance. Sorry, I misread that. When your lead leg lands, so when your front foot touches down, did you say it has to land at a 90-degree angle earlier? Oh, it has to stay sideways. I always teach to put your front foot down with the ball of your foot first. That generally will keep that foot at sideways or slightly turned back, and that will let your hips rotate properly. Renegade for understable distance driver. Audio is great. Thank you, Jason. I actually had the same issue as typically nose up and changed my grip, really fixed the issue as well. Cool One's issue is those mid-ranges as far as drivers. Yes, that's 100% nose up. Because if the disc is flat, there's going to be a lot thicker profile out of the mid-range. But if you tilt them both up slightly, then it's going to be the same. And so they're going to go the same distance. I have a video about it comparing, I'm 12. I have a video about it comparing throwing putters, mids, drivers, and fairways at the same speed. I had a radar gun out there getting the same speed and seeing what the distance differential is. It ends up being about 20 or 10% more for every disc you go up. What am I talking about? What putter would you recommend as a driver putter? My favorite driving putter is a Lucid Warden. We just came out with the stock stamp Lucid Wardens, and they are good. I have a few. They're backups right now because I have a Warden that I really like. It's a Lucid Warden. It just has a tournament stamp on it. It's the Dynamic Disc Open one. But I really like it. You can keep it nice and a little bit of hyzer to flat release, and it's just going to fly very straight. And then it might have a little bit of left fade at the end, but it just goes straight. It doesn't like to deviate much left to right at all. Henry knows a lot about the Warden. Ren Frog says, thanks, this has been really good. I learned a lot. Going to throw this weekend. Good weather for Kansas. It is good weather. I'm thinking about driving over to Kansas City and playing some of the courses over there, or I might drive down to Opie. Not really sure. Yes, Wardens are amazing. Team Warden. All right, I think that's about all we have. Thank you for tuning in to Form Check Friday. I hope you learned something. We'll go through some of these, and if you need a form critique and I have not gotten to your video, shoot a message to my Facebook page, and I will reply to you over there. So thank you for tuning in, everyone, and I'm going to see if I can spin this disc on my finger until the stream ends. Oh, always remember, slow is smooth, and smooth is... I failed already. All right, always remember, slow is smooth, and smooth is far. On a